Yeah, so I stumbled onto this website belonging to Sye Doesn't. I wanted to check him out a little, see what he had to say and what his credentials are. Unfortunately, I looked everywhere, and all I can find out about him is that he has no formal training in apologetics, and he comes from a Christian family. His dad was Dutch, from a Dutch colony in Indonesia, and he can speak Dutch fluently. And that's all it says about him. I looked in Wikipedia to find out, see if he was educated at some place or had some special knowledge that maybe others don't have. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Apparently, his only claim to knowledge is that he is was a factory worker in an automotive company. Um, and so I guess that's what is needed today to become a prophet. So anyway, I came on this site and wanted to see it because I heard some things about it. So I go onto the main page, and he has a little video there. I don't know what it is, some guy screaming. It says how to answer the fool, and I guess that's me, the fool. And the first thing it gives you is this little quiz you have to take, and it says it's going to give me proof that God exists. So let's start answering this question and see what happens. We have a choice there. Absolute truth exists. Absolute truth does not exist. I don't know if absolute truth exists, and I don't care if absolute truth exists. Well, I know if we go on if you follow a scientific method, then there is no such thing as absolute proof or truth. However, there is what I call a personal absolute truth. What this means is that I absolutely believe certain things. For example, I believe that if you jump off a building, then the laws of Newton and Newton's laws of gravity, or Einstein's laws of gravity and general relativity, will absolutely prove to you that they are true. You doubt it? Then I challenge you to do it. Show me, prove to everyone that absolute truth does not exist, or that somehow you have some truth that nobody else does. So I'm going to say that absolute truth does exist for me personally. And here we go with the second part. It says, I know something to be true. I don't know anything to be true. Okay, well, again, scientifically, we don't know anything to be true. All we can say is that we perform an action, and we expect and rely on a certain reaction to that action. This is how science works, by experimentation and re-evaluation, and then that experiment is carried on over and over and over again, and every single time we arrive at the same conclusion or get the same result. So, I know something to be true. I know that if Sye jumps off that building, he's going to end up a lot smaller than he was when he was up at the top, once he gets to the bottom. Probably a really flat piece of pancake at the bottom is what I feel. Is what I say is going to happen to him. So anyway, I chose that yes, absolute truth does exist in that way. Now, does logic exist or logic does not exist? Well, for me, logic does exist. I feel that I try to live my life in a way where my decisions and my actions are based on logic. So I am going to say that logic does exist. Now, he asked me, does logic change? Logic changes or logic does not change? Well, as far as I'm concerned, logic does not change. What this means is if I logically come to the conclusion that the laws of Newton and gravity do exist and are absolute, if whether Sye jumps off that building today or tomorrow or in 10 years, he will experience the same result and the same outcome. My logic has not changed, and it does exist, and it does not change. So now he's asking about the nature of logic. Logic is not made of matter. Logic is made of matter. What? Wow. Okay. Matter is something that we can measure through some kind of experiment. There's matter that we cannot see. There's matter that we cannot even feel. But I've never heard of thought in any way related to matter. I believe it is a result of some chemical reactions that are taking place in my brain, whereby my neurons are excreting some kind of neurotransmitter that is affecting a conjunctant or nearby neuron, and a, I don't know, creates these type of patterns which we interpret to be logic or non-logic or whatever. I've never... So how do we answer, is logic not made of matter, or logic is made of matter? Logic is defined by matter, the material in our brain, but it's not made of it. It's simply the way our brains construct a pattern. So how can we answer this? Because the question is, it doesn't make sense. It's illogical. It's an illogical question. But let's say that it's thought, so it's not made of matter. Okay. So now logic is universal and logic is person relative. Again, a very, very difficult and illogical question, because how can we know if logic is universe if we don't know everything that exists in the universe? And we don't know what dark matter is. We don't know what dark energy is. We don't know what's in the center of a black hole. We think it's a point, but we don't know, because the laws of physics break down at that point. We have no reliable and all explicative way to describe what happens in those areas. We don't know very much about neutron stars and pulsars other than what we can measure. However, our knowledge is gaining every day, and it increases every day. But so I'm going to have to say that logic is person relative, because it is relative to our humans, to us humans within this planet, until we can somehow find out what logic means to other beings and other planets in the whole universe, which in itself is an impossibility if we take for granted that the universe is infinite. So how can you ever know infinity? Well, this is getting too crazy. Let's just keep going. So logic is relative. It says if you believe that logic is relative, then you don't. If logic does not apply universally, then it does not necessarily apply to this site, and you could have no problem with any contradictions like the one below. Logic is universal. Logic is universal. No, I disagree with both of them. So let's go this one. And it says, to reach this page, you have admitted that absolute truth exists, that you can know things to be true, that logic exists, that it is unchanging, that it is not made of matter, and that it is universal. No, I didn't say that. It didn't give me a choice. I had to pick one. I picked the one on the right. I was hoping that one would be that. Truth, knowledge, and logic are necessary to prove anything. and cannot be made sense apart from God. Okay, so let's assume that is correct. What he says is correct. I challenge you. What was your name? Dan or whatever? Steve? I challenge you to jump off the building. Because I know it is true that you are going to die. I am absolutely knowledgeable of the fact that you are going to die. My logic is unchanging, and whether you jump out today, tomorrow, or in a year or 10 years, you will die. So, you want to prove to me that you're right? Prove me wrong. Thank you. I can't wait to pick you up off that sidewalk.